Welcome everyone to Neverwinter on PC. My name is Rainer and today I will be releasing version 0.9.0 of the Neverwinter Character Builder Plus. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you would like to see more information there is about Neverwinter, hit the subscribe button. So, before you guys all jump into the comment section or description to download this new version, I really want to stress out that there's an amazing new feature on this version that I really would like to explain. I will even put a timestamp in the description to jump to that part because I will do it more at the end. So if you don't want to hear the rest of the explanation of the new features, then that's okay. But yeah, you should definitely check out the last part. But just to jump into it, let's go to the change tracker, because here we have all the changes for 0.9.0, and there's a lot of things in here, and well, the last thing here is actually why we went up, but as I said, we're going to get there at the end. So let's start. First point, now you can choose in which folder to save your build, and you can actually also set your name of the file. So before, when you save the build, it would also always save it in the root directory of the character builder. Now you can just pick a file, you can browse to wherever you want, you can pick a CBF file, or you can type in a new name here, whatever you want, and then that will be used to save your file, just as you're used with other programs, of course. So that's convenient. Now you can pick where to save. It will even remember where you saved the last time, but that's, I think, just a Windows feature. But yeah. Then max boon points, I increased them by 2, so now you have 77 total because of the boon points that we see. Artifact selector, yeah, that's the thing that we had in the past. When you select an artifact, you can see them all. If you have selected one in the past, you could select the same one again, and I made sure that that's not possible anymore. So you don't see the same one anymore. The same thing also was possible via the save file, so you could just put in the Apocalypse Double Dagger, for example. This is just an example. You can put it in all of the slots via just editing the save file, being a little hacker. But on loading, I prevented that, so it will just not add the duplicates. Companion equip powers, basically the same thing with the companion equip powers in the past, and this was a little bit annoying because you actually sometimes did this on accident, but here if you have something selected, for example Abyssal Guidance, and I want to select something else, it will not be there anymore. So that's just, yeah, quality of life, and also prevented from doing this via loading. Something that's not in here, I also added some hover over tooltips to show you which slot type this is, because a lot of people have been having difficulty recognizing these slots. They are not exactly the same as in the game, so now it's a little bit easier. Maybe people are not so good in seeing the colors. You have colorblind people, of course, and now you can just read it, so it's there. Some mounts were added. I added some filters for the mounts and combat powers and equip powers. So for the combat powers, it's not that useful, but here now you can have you can select what you want. So if you want, for example, accuracy here, then you will get all the powers that have accuracy as one of the stats, just to make it easier. Combat power also has this, as I said, but damage is still okay, but yeah, this filter is not that useful for the combat powers. Let's see, where were we? Aura of Restoration on Paladin. I think it gives some incoming healing or something like that. It didn't work. I added it to the wrong aura, so that's fixed. I also fixed that the effective hit points now properly take awareness into account. I did mention that I did that before, but I made a small error in the calculation, and it was always 0 in the calculation, so now your effective hit points will actually be higher when you have awareness. Then build score, I tuned it a bit more. I don't want to go too technical into this, but I fine-tuned it a little bit more to be more realistic. It's not 100% done yet, but we'll get there. Forgotten Instincts, I think from some kind of angel I added the powers, just to come with equip power, you can check it out. If you don't have an enhancement power slotted, you don't get the item level, so that was an error that I had before. If I select a companion or augment, in the previous version you would always get the 750, or depending on quality, you would get the item level from this enhancement power, even though you would not, even if you wouldn't have one selected, which of course is not what you want. That's a bug that was fixed. Then a lot of rings, they seem to have a different stat distribution from before, so I also updated them. They might not be all exactly the same as in-game, but some of the in-game items are also bugged at the moment. I don't know what the last update, whether it fixed a lot of them, but yeah, I need to check over them again, I guess, because not everything is done yet. It wasn't done in the game also, but we'll get there. Mad Dash set has been changed, Blessed Weapon set bonus has been changed, Lionheart has been nerfed, all has been processed. I added some extra gear, for example Mako Signet, but I also added some other stuff. Then some changes in the game. XP bonus on enchantments were changed in the game. So if you go to Azure, and I also need to change this window. In the past, a rank 15 would give 100% XP bonus, which was pretty crazy. In game, they give now 5%, which is yeah, 20 times less. But I think it's also wrong. It should be 10. Why do I think that? Because the brutals, they give 5, and I think these brutals should give half of what Azure's give. So there's actually still a bug in the game. I don't know, again, if the last update fixed that. I didn't have time to look into that, but in the character builder, I try to show unbugged values, as long as they don't stay too long. Then, where are we? Property insignias, or prosperity insignias, not property. They also have been nerfed a bit, so the gold bonus and glory bonus on there, that was 40% on legendary, and now it starts at 5% or something like that. So these have been a little bit lowered, quite lowered actually. Prosperity. So these are now 5% each instead of 40, and then with the lower ranks, of course, they become even lower, just like in the game. Then artifacts also changed. So what changed here? Artifacts, we already saw in game that they had increased the item level on the items, but not the stats. With the previous patch, they also increased all these stats actually. So for item level 300 artifacts, they doubled the item level, because from 150 to 300 is double, and the items that were already 300, like this Book of Vile Darkness, went to 450. So there's 50% added. So these values were increased by 50%. So that's all updated. I also updated the Pocket Wiki, by the way, of course. Let's see, we're almost there. Primary artifact also doesn't give extra item level anymore. This was in the past. You got, for a mythic artifact here, you got 150 extra. That was removed, which is fine by me. Just some weird stuff. I also today fixed a bug. There was a bug that if you had one or more of these foods set to none, then it could be that other foods would not load properly. Quite a silly bug, but I also fixed that now. I also implemented Dig In and Unshakable Shield Arm, which give you a couple of stats, but a lot more of these procs will be added in the next version. So here we are. So now we go to the Neverwinter hub functionality, and this is the important thing. This is really a game changer, because with this functionality you can share builds online just via this Character Build Plus. And I have to give a shout out here to Jane. Jane made the facility, the repository, to save these builds to, and also to download them from. So we have an online repository now where you can save builds. But let's go into Neverwinter Hub here. It's also a website which is not done yet, but I'm sure we'll get to that. And here we are. Let's close this because we don't need it anymore. And here we have the hub. When you open this for the first time, you're not logged in, but still you can see all the public builds. Here you can see where you can log in. Here you can see a list of all the public builds. You can recognize public builds because they have a star. And of course, because we're not logged in, we only see public builds. You can see also here public with a star. Up here we have some filters for builds, so you can change the mod here, but that will not give any results at this point. I added a couple of example builds here, which are actually the #1 builds from the competition, but they're not that fantastic, I think. So probably people will get better builds out of this. And here you can also have some other filters like role. So you can say I only want DPS classes of DPS builds, then you can only see those. Heal builds or tank builds, or I want to see all of them. Of course, right now it's not that useful because you only have one build for each role, but at some point it will. You can also filter by class, which at this point you can also have a maximum of 1. Then you can also filter by title, and this is not case sensitive, so if I type in here DPS, then I only get builds that have DPS here in the build title. If I search for example, of course I find all 3 because they're all example. And then you can also search for the author, and you can see here this says my name here, and if I search for my name I will find all 3. If I search for something else I will find nothing, of course. Then if you have filled in some filters and you feel like, okay, I want to set it all back to 0, then you can clear also the filters. Then also you can sort it here. This should default be on last updated. I don't know why it wasn't, but I'll fix that. So yeah, by default this filtered by last updated. That means that the last updated build is here at the top. So I added the heal build, or I edited the heal build as the last build, then the tank, and then the DPS. You can only see the date here, but I think that's sufficient. We don't need to have that much detail and when this build was uploaded. It's probably, no, it's not a local time. It's the time of the server. Then you can also sort by build score. So here you see the top one has the highest build score, and then we go downwards. The build scores, you can sort by item level. Again, the highest one is at the top, and then we go down. Okay, I'm just moving the filter now. And you can filter by a couple other things here, which you can see. So right now you can see to the right here also a couple of buttons that are gray, so you cannot use them right now. This is upload a new build, update selected, and delete the selected build. Of course, for public builds that's a little bit tricky to delete them. Not everyone should be able to delete builds. So what we made here is a function to actually log in to Neverwinter Hub. So before we go into logging in, because we're still not logged in, we can also load one of these builds into the character builder. For example, by clicking and load into builder, it will give you a warning that it will override the current build in the builder. So if you're working on a build here, make sure to save that first because you will lose it. And then if you click OK, it will load the build and it will give you confirmation that it's successfully built. It put the build in there, and then you can see that these stats actually are 100% the same. Now, this is for this version. It could be that in another version the build scores are different, or maybe gear is different. These scores are not calculated, they're just stored as values on the server, so they might be static, and that's that. So you can load it, and you can also save a build to file via this, and then when you select a file, then you will save it to that file, and then you can also load it from there. So if we reset here, we load this file, you will have the same thing. So those are the two options. But yeah, at this point, as I said, you cannot yet upload new builds or edit your builds, for that you have to log in or sign up first. So when you first click on this, you will see that you can be a new user or existing user. As a new user, you have the option to fill in here an email address or username, but it's highly recommended to use an email here, because that way you can get your password back if you lose it somehow. If you use a username, then that's a little bit more difficult to, and yeah, your builds that are private might be lost. And you can also pick a password here. You can fill in whatever you want. I think I limited or I made it that such you have to have both at least 4 characters or more, but that's basically the only limitation that you have right here, right now. And then you press sign up and you will be logged in on your own personal account. Now I already have an account, so I can fill in my username and password here. That's one of the ways of logging in. There's another way of logging in, and that's via a login token. This is something that is not yet ready, but once it's ready and the website is up, you can actually log in on the website, get a login token there, and then you can fill it in here and you can log in with that login token. Very easy. So let's log in right here. So those are my credentials filled in. I press login and now I am successfully logged in. So here you see I'm logged in as Rainer NW. This is my email that I use for Neverwinter. And you can see that here now I have another tab. So I have public builds with all the public things. I also have private builds, and you can see that I have one build here, a glass cannon work in progress I named it. It's also some kind of test build that I have not released yet. And this is something that I can use for myself. So once you're logged in and you're on the My Builds page, you have these buttons at your disposal. So you can upload new builds, you can update the build that you currently selected, or you can delete a build, whichever you want. And when you update it, you can also make it, or when you upload a new one, you can also make it public or private. And I will show you that in a second. Once you go back to public builds, you will not have these buttons at your disposal, but that's just because it only works for the private builds. So here, let me show you how this works. Let me load a new build, something. Let me see, let's go to the builds from the competition. I just pick one, number 7, doesn't matter. So once it's in here, in the builder, I made a build, I want to upload it, I can just press upload new. This will give me an information dialog saying this will upload the current build in the character builder to the server. I assure, I'm sure. Then I can set for which mod this build is and whether it should be private or public, whatever you want. Let's make it a public build, and then I press upload, and now build successfully uploaded to server. And you can see DPS build 7 is here, uploaded to the server. If I go to public builds, it's also here, and when it's here, everyone can see it. So that's one thing. You can also update it. So let's say I change the name, update the name or whatever. And you can also change, of course, the gear and I don't know, doesn't matter exactly, to be honest. You can update this, then you select update the selected build. So make sure you have the correct build selected before you click this button. This will override the selected build on the server with your current build in the tool and cannot be undone, I assure. So once you click OK here, the build that was on the server is gone. Well, actually it's gone after you press here what you want to do with it. So I can also make it private now if I want, or I can make it for mod 21 and I upload it, and then it's here for mod 21. Yeah, let me actually set it to mod, let's make it mod 21 and then public, so I can also show you this. So now we have a public build. So in the public My Build section, you can see all builds for whatever mod you want. It's also shown here, mod all. If you go to public builds, you don't see all builds for all mods. But if you change this here, you will see all the builds for another mod. So that way you can also, you can change that. In the future, of course, we'll get builds for different mods, and to not make this list too long, you can, yeah, select the mod here. But for private, I don't think it's necessary because you won't have that many builds typically in here. So here you see all of them. The last button that we haven't checked yet is delete. So if you want, you can also delete this build. That you do with this button. It will show you this will permanently delete the selected build from the server. Cannot be undone. So if you don't have it anymore and you still want to keep it, make sure to save it first or something like that. But yeah, if you click OK, build deleted from server, and you can see it's gone here. So that is pretty much it. In this screen you see all of the stats, of course, like they were uploaded. Here is also, you can see the comments. Right now they're all the way at the bottom because that's how I filled them in for the competition. But if you have comments higher up here, then you will be able to see them as well. Of course, I forgot to mention one more thing, which is maybe important, but you will notice it automatically as well. So as I showed you, you have to fill in your login information, you have to sign up, and you have to log in. Actually, the character builder will remember your credential, your token, when you log in. So when you start the character builder again, and I will do that here, I will start this up again, and you log in, or you go here, you will be automatically logged in. And this is possible because of this file here. So as long as you have this file and you didn't log in somewhere else, this will be valid, and you won't have to log in again. And this is an unlimited expiration date. So this will be kept up to date, but it will not be the same all the time. But if you install a new version of the character builder, make sure to migrate this file also, otherwise you have to log in again. It might not be a super big issue, but just so you know. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that when you are already logged in and you go back to this login sign up profile page, you will actually see the profile part of this thing. It's very small, but here you can also change your display name. By default it's set to anonymous. And if you want to change this, you can change the name that is used here for these builds. And this is what also other people see. So they can see who this build made. And you can fill in here whatever you want. Do know that if it's really profanity or something like that, it will be moderated. So keep it clean, guys. But yeah, so if you change this, press change, and then you have a new display name. I think this is going to be a big game changer, because right now it has always been a struggle to make it possible for people to share builds, and this is just going to make it so much easier. So a big thank you to Jane for making this possible. If she wouldn't have made this possible, it would have taken a while for me to actually get to this spot, which, yeah, I wouldn't have been doing this right now. Now you're good to go to download the character builder and have fun, guys. If you have any remarks in this video or any suggestions on what to investigate next, feel free to leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.